All right, let's dive in. If you're an architect, you know that one of the toughest parts of any cloud journey is figuring out what to do with those old, tangled integrations. Well, today we're going to tackle that head on. This is your guide to modernizing them on AWS. So, does this sound familiar? You've got this grand vision for the cloud, but there's always that one critical system, you know the one, tethered to another by some ancient database link or a janky nightly file drop. It's literally holding your migration hostage. It's a super common problem, and frankly, it's a massive blocker. Okay, so first things first, let's really define the problem we're up against. I like to call it the legacy integration trap. You can't get out of a trap until you understand how it works. Look, these patterns like direct database links or FTP drops, they made sense back in the day. But in a modern, cloud-first world, they become a huge liability. A tiny schema change in one database can cause a catastrophic failure across 3 other systems. They're fragile, you can't see what's going on inside them, and they just do not scale. And this comparison really just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the old world, highly coupled, brittle, a total black box. And on the right, that's where we want to be, loosely coupled, resilient, observable, and built to scale in the cloud. You have to understand, this isn't just about swapping out tech. It's a fundamental mind shift in how we build things. It's about letting your teams move fast and innovate without breaking everything. So how do we get from the left side of that slide to the right? How do we actually do this? Well, the answer really boils down to 2 incredibly powerful and complementary ideas. This is the future of integration, APIs and events. So here's the magic. API first simply means you lead with a contract. Systems agree upfront on how they're going to communicate. Then, event-driven means they communicate asynchronously. One system just shouts into the void, hey, this thing happened, that's an event. And any other system that cares can choose to listen. The best part? The system that sent the event has no idea who's listening. That combination, right there, is the key to unlocking true decoupling. And of course, AWS gives us an incredible toolbox to build this. You can think of Amazon API Gateway as the tool for creating those clean API contracts. Amazon Event Bridge, that's your central nervous system, routing all those events around. And then you've got your workhorses, like SQS and SNS for really high throughput, super reliable messaging. Every tool has its job, and they all work together beautifully. Okay, enough theory. Let's make this real. We're going to take a classic, painful legacy integration and see how we can redesign it using these exact principles. So here's the before picture. The order system needs to check if something's in stock. So what does it do? It reaches directly into the inventory system's database to find out. This is a huge anti-pattern. The order system is now completely tied to the internal guts of the inventory system. It's a nightmare to maintain, and you can't change anything without breaking something else. So how do we fix this mess? We do it in stages. First, we put a simple API in front of that inventory database. It's a facade pattern, and it gives us a clean Git stock level endpoint. Step 2, we change the order system to call that new, shiny API instead of touching the database. Honestly, that alone is a massive improvement, but we can do better. Step 3, we teach the inventory system to publish an inventory updated event to Event Bridge anytime the stock changes. And for the final step, the order system just subscribes to that event. It now gets updates in real time without ever having to ask. And boom, look at the result. The order system is just listening for events. It has no idea how the inventory system works internally, and it doesn't care. The inventory team can completely re-architect their database, and as long as they keep publishing that event, nothing breaks. Both teams can now scale and develop completely independently. That, right there, is real business agility. Now look, we all live in the real world. You're not going to refactor your entire company over a weekend. It's messy. So what we really need are practical, tactical strategies that let us migrate this stuff incrementally, piece by piece. This is why I love this quote. It's so true. The goal is not some massive, high-risk, big bang cutover. No way. The goal is to build a safe, sturdy bridge from where you are today to where you want to be. And these next few patterns, these are the pillars that will hold that bridge up. All right, first up, the shim. So you've built a beautiful new API for a service, but what about all the old clients that still need to call it the old way? The shim is your answer. It's like a translator. It's a tiny adapter layer that catches the old calls, translates them into the new API format, and sends them on. This lets you modernize your services without breaking everything that depends on them. It's a lifesaver. Next is the facade, which we actually just talked about. I want you to think of this as putting a brand new, modern glass storefront on an old, complicated building. You can use a service like API Gateway to create this clean, simple REST API that completely hides the messy legacy system behind it. Any new applications can now talk to that system in a modern, safe, and controlled way. Okay, but what about data? For stateful systems, moving the data is always the hardest part. This is where the dual writing pattern is absolutely essential. For a period of time, your application writes to both the old database and the new one. This keeps them perfectly in sync. It allows you to slowly and safely shift your read traffic over to the new system, and then when you're ready, you can cut over the writes with total confidence. It's how you do a zero downtime migration for your most critical services. So as we start to wrap this up, let's just crystallize the core principles here. These are the ideas that will make sure your integrations are not just modern today, but are actually easy to change and evolve for years to come. And here it is, the payoff. Why are we doing all this work? Because when this is done right, it's not uncommon to see, get this, an 80% reduction in those direct, brittle dependencies between systems. Just take a second and imagine what your teams could get done if they could ship features without being blocked by 5 other teams. That's the prize we're after. So here are your new rules of the road. 1. Prefer asynchronous communication wherever you can. 2. Isolate your different business domains behind clean APIs. 3. Don't let people query your database. Instead, emit events whenever your state changes. And finally, 4. Design for idempotency. All that means is that if the same message shows up twice, it has the same effect as showing up once. Like pushing an elevator button over and over. This is absolutely crucial for building systems that can heal themselves. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge to take back to your team. Pull up your architecture diagrams. Find that one connection. You know the one I'm talking about, the brittle, painful one that causes all the friction and late-night calls. Now ask yourselves, what's the first integration you're going to decouple?